Rediscovering Gita for the Modern World by Shrikant Soman, based on essays on Gita by Sri Aurobindo. Chapter 4, the core of the teaching, continued from the previous episode. Episode 39. The Gita's supreme message, the 3 steps of karma, Jnana and Bhakti. The culmination of the Gita, surrender and the 3 steps to divine action. From doership to devotion, the triune path of the Gita. Key takeaways. The Lord as the true doer. The Gita's supreme word, Mahavakya. The 3-step argument of the Gita. Karma Yoga, the path of works. Dnyana Yoga, the path of knowledge. Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion. The ultimate fruit, the culmination of this journey, is union with the Divine Being and oneness with the Supreme Divine Nature, resulting in perfect spiritual liberty. The Lord, who even in our present subjection to Maya sits in the heart of His creatures, governing the works of Prakriti. He is the one by whom the armies on the field of Kurukshetra have already been slain while they live. He is the one who uses Arjuna only as an instrument or immediate occasion of this great slaughter. Prakriti is only his executive force. The disciple has to rise beyond this force and its 3 modes or gunas. He has to become trigunatita. He has no longer any claim or right to his actions. He has to surrender his actions not to Prakriti, but into the being of the Supreme. Reposing his mind and understanding, heart and will in Him, he has to do works as an offering to the Master of all self-energizings and all sacrifice. He has to do this with self-knowledge, with God knowledge, with world knowledge, with a perfect equality, a perfect devotion, an absolute self-giving. He has to become identified in will, conscious with that consciousness of the Supreme. Then the Supreme will decide and initiate the action. This is the solution which the Divine Teacher offers to the disciple. We have not to seek the great, the supreme word of the Gita, its Mahavakya. The Gita itself declares it in its last utterance, which is the crowning note of the great orchestra. With the Lord in thy heart, take refuge with all thy being. By His grace thou shalt attain to the supreme peace and the eternal status. So have I expounded to thee a knowledge more secret than that which is hidden. Further hear the most secret, the supreme word that I shall speak to thee. Become my minded, devoted to me do sacrifice and adoration. Infallibly thou shalt come to me, for dear to me art thou. Abandoning all laws of conduct, seek refuge in me alone. I will release thee from all sin. Do not grieve. The argument of the Gita resolves itself into 3 great steps. They result in the action being risen out of the human into the divine plane. It leaves the bondage of the lower for the liberty of a higher law. First, works have to be done by the renunciation of desire and a perfect equality. They have to be done as a sacrifice by man with a sense of the doer of action. It is a sacrifice to a deity who is the supreme and only the one self above all. At this stage he has not yet realized in his own being this supreme. This is the initial step. Secondly, not only the desire of the fruit but the claim to be the doer of works has to be renounced. It has to be done in the realization of the self as the equal, the inactive, the immutable principle. The realization of all works is to be seen as simply the operation of universal force, of the nature's soul, of Prakriti, of the unequal, active, mutable power. Thirdly and lastly, the Supreme Self has to be seen as the Supreme Purusha governing this Prakriti. Of this Purusha, the soul in nature is a partial manifestation. He directs all works through nature in a perfect transcendence. To Him love and adoration and the sacrifice of works have to be offered. The whole being has to be surrendered to Him. The whole consciousness has to be raised up to dwell in this divine consciousness. This will enable the human soul to share in His divine transcendence of nature and of His works and act in a perfect spiritual liberty. These 3 steps are presented as follows. The first step is Karma Yoga, the selfless sacrifice of works. Here the Gita's insistence is on action. The second is Dnyana Yoga, the self-realization and knowledge of the true nature of the self and the world. Here the Gita's insistence is on knowledge. At this stage the sacrifice of works continues. Here the path of works becomes one with the path of knowledge, but does not disappear into it. The third and the last step is Bhakti Yoga, adoration and seeking of the Supreme Self as the Divine Being. Here the insistence is on devotion. But the knowledge is not subordinated. It is only raised, vitalized and fulfilled. At this stage also the sacrifice of works continues. The double path becomes the triune way of knowledge, works and devotion. And the fruit of the sacrifice, the one fruit still placed before the seeker, is attained. The fruit is in the form of union with the Divine Being and oneness with the Supreme Divine Nature. With this episode 39 we are concluding chapter 4 titled as The Core of the Teaching from the main book Essays on Gita by Sri Aurobindo.